For people following the saga of Eamons, what does today's decision mean for the taxpayer?
6 more months.
So keep it in storage until...
So we're going to keep it in storage until September. The difference is that in the past we were only entertaining options to keep it at Tuscany Station, and we will now entertain all options either at Tuscany Station or somewhere else. And there's a couple of interesting ones out there, including one to make it a visitor center at the new Haskayne Park, which I'm really intrigued by, and I'd like to really follow up a little more.
Do the Haskaynes have any money to assist?
So you'll have to ask them. But certainly the Haskayne family has been incredibly generous, and I certainly take into account the fact that they have stated that they would like it there. That makes a difference to me. So we'll see what we can do.
Are you letters to do that? Or?
They did. They sent council a letter on the weekend.
What intrigues you about having it there? Just the fact that they're open to it?
There's something nice about it, because Eamon's was always the last thing you'd see as you were leaving the city to the northwest, and Haskayne Park will now be the end of the city to the northwest. And given that Mr. Haskayne's family's background is in the oil and gas sector, it's a nice little nod to that, I think, as well as allows us to keep this beautiful building. So certainly something I want to explore. There are other options out there as well, and we'll look at all of them and figure out which one is the best.
Is city ownership a given, or could that change?
No, absolutely, it could change. You know, as I said, if someone comes to me with an offer that takes the liability off of the city's hands but also preserves the building, then that's an offer we should look at seriously, even if it's for $1.
So Mr. Everett's proposal, do we even know yet how viable it is, or is it just it needs more work?
I think it needs more work. I mean, it's a beautiful idea. We need to flesh it out and see if it's viable. Given how much trouble we had attracting a restaurant vendor to that particular location and to that particular building, we'd really need to be comfortable that there was a model that would cover the operating costs of the building.
So it's not that it's a good idea, a bad idea. We just need to know.
It needs more work, and I'm happy to sit with the Cultural Society and try and develop what that looks like.
So when we talk taxis now?
Yep.
Decision made. Is it 57 are getting delayed and 7?
That's right. Council decided to release 7 new accessible taxis, but given the news we heard today that despite population growth, the actual taxi business has gone down 5% year over year in February, it didn't seem to make a ton of sense to add a lot more supply to that, particularly given that our Christmas season went quite well. The number of complaints have bottomed to almost 0, and we are actually able to track that we are almost achieving the metrics on on-time dispatch performance. The important thing to remember here is that some years ago, we completely changed the regulatory system with taxis to be data-driven. We now know where every taxi is at every moment of the day, what the business is, how many trips they're getting, and so on. And now we can actually use that data to make decisions. And given that we know that the economic slowdown is hitting the cab industry hard, Council decided today to defer the decision on adding way more taxis until we have a better understanding of how badly the business is doing. It doesn't mean we're not going to do it. Council's decision to add them is still in place, but we gave ourselves the flexibility to look at the timing.
Do we know if cab use is going down? Is that Calgarians aren't using cabs to get around the city? People aren't coming to the city as much? Do we know where that drop is?
We'll have a better sense of that when we analyze the data a bit more, particularly around airport trips. That said, we know in the past that times of economic slowdown are correlated with much lower cab use. It seems to be discretionary income and business travel that drives a lot of that cab use. And so if in fact we're seeing the kinds of declines that cab drivers are telling us anecdotally, it doesn't make sense to mess with the system now.
The overall rollout number, is the time frame on that also affected by this? Do you think it will full?
We'll find out in 2016. You know, a lot of it depends. We were never planning on rolling out all of them right away. We knew that we needed more, but we also wanted to soften the blow to the current industry, particularly given some changes with new entrants and so on. So we'll make a decision after the summer about a release of another 57. We'll make a decision in the new year about the remaining 193 points.
This comes back to bite council if you get a lot of complaints during Stampede this year?
You know, you can't build the system for the absolute peak. That's something that's true in transportation engineering, in transit, and in cabs. So if you go to New Orleans at Mardi Gras, you're going to be waiting for a cab. And you can't have no matter how many cabs we have, there would be some delays at Stampede. And I think people know that and they understand that. And it gives them a chance to have a little bit more fun for the rest of the night instead of all leaving at once. All right, thank you.